Just going to just relax a sec, and I want to use the opportunity just to, even for me to be able to relax, not to have to rush into it, because there's nothing to rush into, just to get people just to enjoy that space. There's a lot of the time where we feel like we need to speak where we don't need to. So I'm going to even give this opportunity before I even start. I'm just going to let go. I'm not going to try and formulate anything. I'm just going to hold space and go through my breath for the moment, and it gives you an opportunity just to look at me if you have to not want anything. Even now, you're sitting there thinking, waiting to hear something, waiting to get directions, listening to my voice, waiting to see where I'm going with it. But to more just concentrate on the sound of my voice, more concentrate on the feeling, because at the moment I'm not formulating anything in my head. I'm just going with an intuitive feeling. Just keep listening to my voice, the sound of my voice, the tone of my voice, the texture of my voice, the vibration and intention that's being carried through my voice. And just breathe. There's no need to force anything. There's no need to try and rid your head of any thoughts. Just completely allow yourself to feel everything. You may find it hard to relax. You may be feeling invigorated. You may be feeling stimulated. Don't question it. Don't worry about it. Just feel it, become aware of it. Feel all the senses and the nerves in your body. Allow yourself to flinch. Allow your breathing to be, you may have real short, rapid breaths. Just allow it to be. There's nothing worse than trying to stop something. Just allow it to be. So we very, very slowly change the vibration gradually from the space that you're already in. It's about you just getting used to and sitting in whatever feelings you're experiencing in your body right now. Your thoughts may be racing. Allow it to be. You may feel like you just want to groan. Allow it to just be. You may be suddenly feeling irritated. Say it if you want to say it. Fuck it. Just allow it to say it. Just be.
Happy, 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 happy news. Happy, happy, happy news.
I'm all about no repression. Just allow whatever to be. What does my voice sound like to you? I don't want to question it. What does my voice sound like? You're hearing a collection of words, but they're just sounds. Just keep concentrating on my voice. Right now, there's love in the intentions. There's love behind what it is I'm wanting to do right now, and that's a feeling. That's consciousness. And you're connected to that consciousness. This screen doesn't mean anything. That love, that intention, that calmness, that clarity, that pureness of consciousness of being, You can feel that right now because you're connected to it through consciousness, through time and space. You are that. I'm just a reflection of that in you. Whatever I'm saying or putting across, you are that. So just be. And again, I am just talking. You may think, has he started yet? I started ages ago. It's just my little formula and my way of doing things, my way of getting people into a meditative state. Because it's already working, the conscious flow, the feeling is already penetrating through me. It's not what I'm saying that's important, it's the energy that's being transported and carried through the words I'm saying. That's how it works. It's what's coming through that you feel, not necessarily what's being said. It's an energy thing, and you're an energy being. Now, depending on the different people that may be watching, again, I'm going to make it tailored for you all individually, through one person, being myself. But it'll all be felt and experienced differently for all of you. What do you want to relax in your body? What do you want to work on? What do you want to feel right now? Some of you may want to just feel relaxed. Some of you may want to go on a little journey. Some of you may want to focus healing energy on a particular organ or a particular part of your body. Just know all of that is going on right now. Anything that you need right now, this energy is going towards helping that, creating that, shifting that, moving that, maneuvering that. The sound and the intention and the energy carried in my voice may be making someone feel tingly. It may be making someone else feel relaxed. It may be making someone's arm feel relaxed. It may be doing all sorts of different things because the energy goes where the energy flows, where it needs to go for every single particular individual person who's listening to this. Let it be for what you want it for. It doesn't even matter because that's already happening anyway. That's how intelligent, infinite, intelligent consciousness is. Some of you may be feeling relaxed. Some of you may be getting a real healing sensation. Some of you may be starting to feel otherworldly sensations. Someone may even be feeling stressed. It's whatever you want it for. A meditation is just about focusing energy where the energy needs to go. Where do you want it to go? What is this for you? Now I'm just going to do some sound. I'm going to let out intuitive sounds which I feel to let out. And the very fact that you're watching this and I'm expressing these sounds to you on a conscious level, you've attracted it, you want it for whatever you want it for. Again, it may help you relax, it may help you go off on a little journey, or whatever it is you need. It may heal your DNA, your cellular body, because you're just made of atoms and energy. And this is all I'm putting across and expressing and communicating right now is a form of energy from my intuitive being. And the very fact it's intuitive, it's dipping into a collective consciousness that we're all part of. So I can only give you right now exactly what you want and need for your highest good or potential. Now I feel to let out certain sounds and tones. Don't question it, just feel it. Your mind, again, might want to question it, but don't question it, just feel it. And again, I'll say it again. Doesn't matter what I'm saying at the moment, the healing's going on. This is the meditation, the work's going on as I speak. It's flowing. The energy's flowing. I know it's happening. I can feel it. I can feel the change in my feeling my voice as I speak. I can feel the change in my body, how I feel as I'm speaking. I feel lighter. I feel tingly. Therefore, I know it's healing conscious energy which is going on at the moment. Now I'm going to start with the sound. The sound has already started. It started long ago through the sounds of my voice, the tones of my voice, not what I'm saying, the tones, the vibrations of every single syllable and vowel I'm using. They all make up what seems to be formed and interpreted as a language, but they're just vibrations that are put and stuck together to create a formulation of what you perceive as a word. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but you may not understand these words, but you'll understand them energetically. On some conscious level, you'll feel them, just as you already have been feeling them for the past 5 minutes. Regardless of what you understand, it's working anyway. This is my form of meditation for you, my expression, my gift for you. It's already happening. Different to usual meditations, but a meditation nonetheless. Iskiarmutuku ashnu warnataku ana awataka sekeya neteku armanako ake. Really feel into every sound and feel where you're feeling it in your body. Be aware of what it's making you feel, what it may be making you see, or it may be taking you off on a journey. Just allow it to, don't question it. Arno ua awaskarna tuku armutuku anawasheke. Do not try and understand it as a language, just feel the sounds. Mishkiar natokuar mobutukuar natako oana ka. Enesekewe el niki arnukush gormukur. Awarnataku armama toku ushkarnatakoa arnatakawe siki armubuku ushnarnatakua. Emeketeke sekia marnutukush morbubukusha. If you want to open your eyes, you're welcome to open your eyes. If you want to join in, join in. Lauren, if you feel to join in, join in. It's join in. It's consciousness. If it moves you to want to express, and allow it to do so. If that means your body feels it wants to move in a certain way, then do that. That's your biofield wanting to manipulate the atmosphere, the energetic flow of what's going on. If you feel to do that, anyone who's watching, if it makes you feel to cry, if it makes you feel to release, if it makes you feel to join in, if it makes you feel to move your body in a certain way, do so. Armotuku uarnataka armamaku ushnakawe neke ernaka awarnaka se eke anataka ornuku us namata awa ushnake se. As I said, it may sound odd, it doesn't matter, it's just sounds, it's just vibrations. Even one particular sound, ka, ka, ka. Where do you feel that? What does that make you feel like? Se, ke, umar tuku ushmar mapaka arnene tewene te kianam se.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Urmaka arnata kua anata ornata urmanata urmanata join in. Ormutuku urmanata uanati ki urmantu. Ormanana marnata ku ushkin marnatuku ornatuku ornanana burtuku uanata kawashnake. Feel how it feels.
I can feel my spine opening. My whole spine started to expand as you were doing that. It's like Falandafa.
Very slowly, just allow yourself. Feel how it feels. You can almost feel the magnetism in your body and the magnetic feeling.
Oh, you can feel
you
it.
really feel into it. Then allows you to move. It pulls itself into where it needs to go, and then it makes it stronger, which makes it even more obvious, which makes it pulls it even more. That it keeps emphasizing and heightening itself, and you know where to place your hand more, and it invigorates it even more. And when you're doing this, you'll feel releasements in your body. It just feels good. Your body knows exactly what you need. On that note.
What can I say? What an incredible interview and an incredible meditation. And we got to hear your stunning singing voice. So some people, if you're lucky and you go and do the sound stuff with Paul and use the bed, you might be lucky enough to get his beautiful singing voice as well.
If they want that, that's I suppose.
If they want it, yeah. So there you go. So, oh God, that was beautiful. Just very quickly. I was interviewing an incredible 5D consciousness group yesterday called Love Has Won. Love Has Won. They're incredible, these two girls. And we finished it with the word ahava. Ahava in Hebrew is love. And the same way as you've got Buddha, Brahma, Allah, Adonai, it's always this open sound, ahava. It's a beautiful word in Hebrew. Love, like Wayne Dyer doesn't say love. He said we should actually pronounce it love.
Yeah, you can feel it, can't you, in a word when you express it.
It's an open, everything is open. The words are open. And it's like you have just opened up the whole of my spine. I could feel all the vertebrae just, first of all, the way it started when you started singing, I went back to my Jewish roots. And in the synagogue, you had the cantor, the chazan, and they would sing like that. So I could feel it right deep down in my solar plexus and my lower stomach. And then that's what it means to me. I'm getting into the core of my feelings. And so I let that happen. And then it starts to open more and more. And then as you went along, the spine started to open up like that, stretching outwards and outwards. You know, I always get so much from all of this because it's so detoxified. You know, everything works in me so fast. I'm like a cat. You know, if you give an animal homeopathy, they don't have any barriers. So it's the same with me. I'm so open to all these techniques and healing because there's nothing to stop it. I don't have a barrier. I don't have saying, oh, this isn't going to work. You know what I mean? So that was incredible, Paul. I need to do another interview with you. My God, you should be doing your whole show. I reckon you should do a show and on there here, we're listening every week, half an hour with Paul McDonald. I think, like, particularly while we're in lockdown, you could do your own lockdown series coming from the Positivity Center. How would you feel about
that? My little soundbar.
I think it'd be incredible. And you could put your own music. We are live still with this. You could put your own music in the background because you're writing all this stuff anyway. But, you know, half an hour, like I've got people doing half an hour, and I'm just saying, anybody, if you want to come on to Moving On TV, email me at movingontv1@gmail.com. This
share it.
opportunity to do your own show.
Share it. Share
your talents, exactly. Martin does letting go in lockdown. Martin does hypnotherapy, letting go in lockdown. I have the lovely Ellen Carter. She's done books. She's done around her garden, organic vegetables. She did abundance in lockdown. I've got Jaden Darcy, Mr. Darcy. I can't wait to see his program. He's in Australia. He's doing a program, and there you go. Louise Hammond, fingers crossed, she's going to do her own Muse acting program in the lockdown. So there you go. Now we've got Paul McDonald, and he can do a lockdown series for us.
Yeah, I'm up for it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Cool.
I'll do a weekly resonation.
Yeah, weekly from the Positivity Center, whatever it is you feel. Anyway, thank you so much, Paul. What can I say? It's been an incredible interview. And you've given so much. And that's what I love about this awakening, is we're all giving so much from the heart. You know, and I'm not checking how many subscriptions, how many likes, but I do need to get to 1,000 subscriptions on Moving On TV in order to stream live now, because everything has changed with YouTube. So we need to build up. The more subscriptions we have, the more wonderful people like Paul I can bring on. Okay. So take care. Have a beautiful dinner. Love to everyone, and we'll see you soon. So lots of love.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Peace.
Thanks, you, Lauren.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye. Bye.
Varnaya
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Welcome to Moving On TV. And today we have an incredible guest coming on, a really good friend of mine, Paul MacDonald, who runs the Positivity Centre in Burnham, Nashton Lane. And I'm just going to show you some of the things I've purchased from there. Look at that crystal. These crystals are stunning. And this one. This I know is amethyst. This one drew me because of the gorgeous colors. I think this was about a £5, and this was about a £5, and this was about £10. So this is what you can get there at the Positivity Centre once it's open again. Also, you can buy my book, Simply Amazing, Chapter 8, Casey Armstrong. They sell that. They sell How to Stay Sane in a Crazy World cards, which are channeled by me. And they sell this beautiful, beautiful pendant, if you can see, made by Megan Luna. They sell beautiful things there, and I've purchased loads of stuff from there. But today we're going to talk to Paul, the man himself. I call him Mr. Medicine Man because when I go for a session with Paul MacDonald, he does the shamanism, he does music, he does rhythms, he does, I use the bed, the sound and light bed, and all together get this incredible experience, enlightening experience where I detach from life completely. When I come out of there, I'm a different person. And sometimes he uses rhythms and drums and sage sticks, as I say, Mr. Medicine Man. And as I said today, apart from that, he's a very talented musician and songwriter, an all-rounder, as well as an alien for another planet. So a fantastic healer. He does, I'd say, telepathic healing as well. So, you know, close your eyes and the healing appears and you feel different. All sorts of talents and skills and experiences that we feel probably are what refer to being an architect of life, which is what I'm going to ask from him. Now, you saw him a couple of years ago. He did a program on Moving On TV. It was the Happy News at a fair, and where he sang happy talk, happy news. But today we're going to focus on, as I say, the depths of how far this goes. Who is Paul MacDonald? How did he get to the level that he is now? Where did it all start? Because as you know, we're Moving On TV, I like to dive deep and find out about the man or woman, the human, what is behind this, what is behind it all, but the real person. Okay, so welcome to Moving On TV.
Happy, 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 happy news. Happy, happy, happy news.
Oh,
Howdy.
it's an honor and a pleasure to interview you here on Moving On TV, because as you know, I have a huge amount of respect for your work. I love what you do. I just told the viewers that I go onto the lighted sound bed that you have at the Positivity Centre, and it's an incredible experience. I always come off there feeling happy and detached and a lot better than when I went on it. So tell me a little bit about Paul MacDonald. Where did all this start? I mean, you woke up one day and you suddenly knew everything that you know, or did it start way back a while ago?
I suppose I've always been a bit, I suppose very like up in my head a lot, to be quite honest. Always been very intrigued and questioning everything. Maybe sometimes it's a little bit too much, but then as they say, your gift is your curse is your gift, sort of works for you in both ways, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Which is life, I suppose. It is a balance. It's like that can't always be one or the other. They sort of go like that. Yeah, since I can remember, just really, I suppose, open-minded, really open-minded, which caused me a bit of an issue when I was young. Always felt like I wanted to do something, but I never knew what. It was I wanted to be creative, wanted to be expressive, but I couldn't work out what it was. Because when I was younger, the only things I could work out that was expressive and creative was either music or your general sort of stuff. Not realising that what I wanted to really be expressing was energy, and in the format that I do, which is, well, just expressing energy in ways that people are only just starting to wake up to, I suppose. For years they've been doing it in cultures, but it's even in cultures they've been doing it with like indigenous cultures, they've been doing it with some sort of format or tradition where it's not quite that. It's more of a conscious present flow that wants to express itself through sound, through movement. It's almost as if, and for years I think I was stuck with stuff. I remember I used to have tics a lot. I'd make sort of like noises, or I'd twitch my neck, or
You mean a bit like kind of like Tourette's kind of?
yeah, but it was almost sort of a tick. Like I'd have to do something like a certain movement of my neck all the time. And I remember thinking it was like if I don't do it, it's, it was a bit of an OCD, it's bad luck thing, but more of a feeling. And now I look back on it, I've come to realise it was actually like energy that was stuck and stagnant. And someone said to me recently, and I've only just thought about it, like how light, I don't like the word light language, but I suppose it's like expressing energy is in form of like sound and movement. It's like NLP, because you're, for example, like last night I was feeling like I need to express a certain sounds, and I think a lot of like it's a lot of like tongue twisty sounds, and and I just go with it. And it's a tone, which is a vibration, which is basically what everything is anyway, isn't it? Vibration. So I just go along with it. It can seem weird or it can seem odd, but it's just the tone. It's a sound, and most things in life are made up from sound and frequency. Hence, like in the Bible, it says that the first was the word was God. In the Hindu scriptures, it started with Om. It's just that primordial vibration, sound and light. And like when you listen to certain music, it makes you feel a certain way. Trance music puts you in a real heady, euphoric space. Soul music, you feel in your heart. Then you got sort of stimulated music like drum and bass or heavy rock that puts you in that real like invigorated. And you even get music that makes you feel like that goth metal, dark metal stuff. Makes you feel really, I don't even know the word I want to give that. Almost aggressive sometimes, but yeah, different types of music, different sounds do different things. And when someone's singing a love song, they're singing that from their heart. So they're literally, the linguistics and the sound which they're producing is coming from a heart space. So, and when someone's dancing, they feel good because they're allowing their body to move with the sound that they're going with. So when you're doing expressing sound and then you're doing certain movements with it, you're creating an atmosphere around your body. I know I've gone off of what I was talking about a bit here.
Yeah. Can I just bring you back a sec, Paul?
Yeah.
Because again, I like to, as I say, I want to go back to the beginning. Because
can I eat my chocolate?
You can eat your chocolate, yeah. No, it's all
about freedom.
Where did it all start? Because I remember I met you at one of these fairs, these big fairs in Maidenhead, and I sat down beside you. You seemed like really calm and quiet, like a really gentle being. you know, sat down beside you. But you were totally focused. You started talking to me, explaining to me what you wanted to do, the conscious camps, and I think at the art center. But, you know, what I want to know is, when did all this start? I mean, how was it at school for you, for example, when you went to school? As you say, you're different, you're creative, how did you manage to settle as a child into the school system with all your energy or ambitions? Or did that start later on when you were older?
I had a funny childhood. I wasn't brought up funny, but I was a bit funny myself because I had weight issues, and that put me into like give me a lot of anxiety because I weren't happy with myself, and I suppose really that's why I do what I do now. You know, I never really, for years, I don't think I enjoyed myself because it was all about how I look, superficial sort of 3D world stuff, and I guess really that put me on a neural path of thinking, because you're always thinking about yourself. You've got anxiety, or you're trying to cover the next move or how you're going to feel about something. So you think a lot, which ends up putting you in the pattern of thinking a lot. So then you end up thinking about everything a lot. Yeah, and I suppose when you're thinking a lot, you're thinking about everything. So you'll be thinking about everything a lot. Like a lot of my friends used to do all sorts of stuff. Where I lived in Slough, there was a lot of like crime, a lot of drugs, a lot of robbery, a lot of all sorts. And
Sorry, because you're up in Slough, is that right?
yeah. Okay. And you know, like friends of mine would be involved in stuff like that, but I'd always be sitting there thinking like about it all from every angle and having compassion. I could never do stuff like that, you know, obviously hang around with people because they're your friends when you're younger, and then certain friends would be doing certain things, and but where you're thinking, where I would think a lot, it would stop me acting a certain way because I'd be thinking about consequences, thinking about how the person would feel, thinking about everything. And again, it's like a curse and a gift at the same time, because it's sort of intuitive as well. You don't do stuff because you're thinking, oh, that ain't right, that ain't going to be right, it's going to turn out like that. Like really thinking about everything from every angle. Sort of think yourself out of doing things. And sometimes, but it ends up, I also used to think myself out of doing stuff that maybe I wanted to do. So,
was there anything you liked about school? Or that
I liked school. I liked being with my friends. But I didn't like. I've never liked doing structured stuff. I've never liked being part of a structured society. And my mum's very much, I suppose, you've met my mum, opinionated. She made me into the man I am today. Yeah, systematic stuff I've never really gone along with well. My mum didn't. I think she got kicked out of school early because she didn't like going with set routines. It's when you look into stuff and you think like, well, what's the point of that? Not everything about it, but just certain things that you can't resonate with. And I suppose that's the beginning of change. If you're here as a person who wants to bring in some sort of change always gets what's the word? No one seems to like change, or no one's comfortable with change because they're comfortable with what they're doing. So either people think you're weird for what you're trying to talk about or bring in. And I suppose that's another thing with me as a youngster. I liked certain things. I liked a certain way of dressing, but I never would. I'd never like do things that I wanted to do because I'd be worried about how people I know would think, or if they would take the mickey, or I was thinking about it only last night, actually, about how much post-traumatic stress is just a whole lifetime of a lot of people. Everyone's got post-traumatic stress. From post-traumatic stress is just, to me, there's different levels of it. You've obviously got shocking life scenarios, and then you've got it where it's something that's affected you deep rooted in you because you couldn't be yourself. Not being able to be yourself is post-traumatic stress, because it leaves a stressful energy in you which accumulates and builds up and ends up disturbing other aspects of your life. Like you can't be yourself. You can't act a certain way because you're worried about what your parents are going to think. You're worried about what your friends are going to think. Then that ends up repressing you. Then you're not happy.
So you felt like this as a young child, did you?
Yeah.
You feel like that you couldn't be yourself and you couldn't express yourself?
Yeah, partly. Not just because of other people, but because of me as well. Like there were certain things I wanted to do or certain things I wanted to wear, but I wouldn't because I would think that I looked silly in them. Or I would look silly looking like this or dressed like that. So that I had a lot of self-judgment, and that put me off. But then where did the self-judgment come from? Something in me or something must have happened that I maybe can't even remember that created self-judgment in me.
So how did you deal with it?
Pardon?
How did you deal with all of those feelings as a young
drugs. I got stoned out my face a lot. Alcohol, drugs. Music was a good one. But I loved music anyway, but I suppose you do use things to escape stuff. Yeah, drugs, I suppose. I got into cannabis, got into ecstasy. Later on, I got into cocaine. Yeah, it was funny. Even again, another thing I was thinking about today, like how we use stuff. You know, everyone's on a little journey. You still all have our little traumas and our things come up. And I remember yesterday, I thought, I can't remember it was that come up, and I thought, I feel like having a drink. Why would I want to drink? Why would I want alcohol? Well, just to maybe suppress something that's coming up, because everything's coming up. Whether you're a therapist, whether you're whatever, things are coming up for everyone, even more so now.
Especially now.
And the more real deep-rooted stuff is coming up, the really deep-rooted stuff. And then we'll try and find ways to get out of it sometimes, because we don't want to sit in it because it could be painful. And then we may find ourselves wanting to do certain things like, I'll have a drink to suppress it. And that's the worst thing you can do, because alcohol already affects your liver. And then if it's a suppressed thing that makes you feel angry, then that's even worse, because you've got the double, that alcohol affects your liver, and also anger from the suppressed emotion affects your liver. And then you're going to use the alcohol that already affects your liver to suppress that energy which affects your liver. That particular trait of anger. So it's just
the
not
liver is the seat of the emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah. And all addictions are just hiding the void inside, as you said. It could be anything. It could be drinking, eating. With me, it was food. So we all have different types of addictions to hold back rather than facing and confronting. And now we're in a space. We have to deal with everything because of this down and because of the way things are. So you must be very strong then, because how did you come out of this? I mean, how long did you have these addictions, would you say? Actually practice.
Up until...
Addiction leads to another, you know?
But no, about... So I'm 27 years. So it would be about 24, 25. I stopped smoking. I stopped a lot of things at once: alcohol, cannabis,
How old were you then?
eating meat.
At the same time?
Yeah, it sent me a bit sort of schizophrenic for a moment. I basically stopped everything that I was using as a crux or whatever. And the reason I stopped is because of it. And I didn't want to carry on. I mean, my first had them, I was doing all sorts, and I'd have bad anger issues. and you can't be doing that around your kids. You can't be acting like that around them. So that was the reason I stopped, and then that opened up a whole other avenue, because you're stopping something which was suppressing things. I remember I'd stop because I'd have like heart palpitations. I'd be doing lots of cocaine, and I'd have like heart palpitations. I'd have panic attacks. Summer.
I'm pausing. Okay, right, we're back. So you were telling me you basically stopped these addictions because you were dad.
Yeah.
Because in a way, you know, Tony Robbins, addictions and pain, and he says when the pain is too strong, or when you have something more important than the pain, you can conquer that pain. It takes that mindset. It takes that something that is more important to you than the addictions. But it's a very brave thing to do, to be able to, I mean, you know.
Hard.
Cold turkey.
It comes up that you were suppressing. Boredom, frustration, anger, issues of self-worth, issues with like major ones I had around still getting over, really. Ones involving like masculinity. Am I good enough? Do I look manly enough? Do I act manly? And that's a big one when in connection with like being work and doing this sort of stuff, because it's all classed airy fairy or more feminine and soft. So that really gets you to have to push past caring about what people think about you, whether they think you're all of what you feel like you're not enough of, basically.
That's a really interesting point, Paul, because there are men that are waking up at the moment, and I've had chats to a few of them. They don't understand. The heart chakra is opening, and and they're starting to feel their feelings. What advice can you give them as you do all of this? What would you suggest they deal with?
Just be yourself. It's like, I mean, even today, I'm having a bit of a day today where I can feel emotion coming up, because as I'm talking to you, I can still feel stuff like in my heart of what things I'm going through at the moment, because it's always, I don't like the idea of pretending that we're beyond everything. We need to put across this approach that we're beyond everything, that we're here to teach, or just someone helping. Like Tony, a life coach as a life coach, everyone's, me, it's all about just being honest and being truthful and stop hiding. You know, I could sit there now and think I could see like some of my body language is a bit like that. Well, that's how I feel today.
So what?
So what's the on like an act of like, hey, that's not being truthful. I want people to be truthful. I want people, if they if they feel, whatever they feel, just express it. And it doesn't, but don't, you know, how people are going to respond to you. They might get annoyed, but that doesn't matter. You've got to express how you've got to expressing yourself, or letting out your stuff may bring a reflection of a load of attacks at you, or may bring whatever. But that's the echo, the bit that you've got to try and get through. They're there to help you feel even more. You know, like we've had ourselves, and we've had it with each other when we've reflected that feeling of self-worth in each other, and you need to go into it sometimes. And the reason someone's doing it to part of you, as
on a subconscious level is obviously wanting it from them, for you to dip that low. It's like sometimes you need to go really, and everyone around you will do that for you, as much as at the time you think, you feel like that. I know you went through that big time. The shift is massively obvious. You know you.
Thank you. Basically, because we're all mirrors and teachers.
Yeah.
We all synchronicity beautiful today.
Yeah.
To see you, I wanted to see the real Paul McDonald person without any masks, and that's what's coming, and that's beautiful. So say, because it's so important. But where do you picked it all up? I mean, you weren't born not good enough, I'm not manly enough, I'm not whatever. And it's like people from the outside, as this gorgeous being, this really amazing man, from the out, we can see, we see you as this really positive, this really intelligent being that is put together with this positive space that we can come into, as you say, how grateful I am, a place of my grief, and where I was just picked up the floor. Why can't we see ourselves as that person told us that we're not? What do you think? Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. It's just sort of, do you know what? It's what I've been like asking myself, to be quite honest.
You weren't born like that. So what messages did you pick up?
I don't know.
Who gives you these? I mean, when you think...
From the minute I can remember, from the moment I can remember, I've always been strangely, well, I don't, because I don't know other people's, excessively think. So for me, like, I was born like that. For me, feeling the feeling, there was always wanting to do something. There was always, I don't even know how to explain the feeling. It was obviously to do what I'm doing now, and I advocate what I'm saying right now. But sometimes maybe something is comfort is in there to create change. I was reading this book called E.T. Explore Race, and it was talking about in this book about using discomfort as impetus for change, and it makes sense. And if, for example, there's various people I know who have had discomforts in their life, or they've had issues inside of them, and because of that, it's made them go into doing and learning and going and getting into sorts. I mean, one bloke is into many different things, real highly intellectual things. He does all sorts. I won't say what, but he does all sorts, where he's helping a lot of people, where he's all sorts to do with helping people, to do with an expert in a sport, to all sorts of stuff. And he's done that. He's learned all them things because he's had to find something to help him maybe mask or put aside or repress certain things he does. But if you were to look at it on a bigger picture, outside of himself, everything that he's done, how that's helped other people, and it's almost like these discomforts have helped him do stuff that's helped other people. If he didn't have them discomforts there, he maybe have just stuck with being happy sitting on and doing nothing. So it's almost, if you look at things on a broader or whatever the word, a wider, broader scale. I think the word I'm trying to use. It's almost like our negatives and positives serve each other sometimes.
Mhm.
Um,
You're saying, in a way, sorry, you're saying that everything we go through molds us.
yeah,
Makes us into that person that we need to be now in the awakening. In
yeah.
the
I mean, for me, for example, I've tried loads of different modalities of healing, and then some of them will work, some won't, and then I always think, yeah, the allotments are still summer with.
Hang on a second. I can carry on.
So I can't remember where I was at.
We're saying molds us. Everything you've been through, all the difficult experience that we go through, is molds us into the person we are. When you come to certain people, will be able to go through certain things in life to wake up.
Like,
Or without that, I don't think you can, unless you were born awake.
when I sit there and think that I wanted a centre that can help people, but I want to help people in many different ways, and I don't think there's one set way for one person. I never like, because I don't think routine individual, and I think people either doesn't really work on themselves using their own nature, which goes on to the stuff I do, but or there needs to be many ways. I don't believe you should just have one way of following things, but some people might like to. So I've been watching people for years. I watch stuff online. I watch how other therapists do things. I try and look at things, and I try and look at, well, it works for that, but then I look purposely for flaws in things, because I want to question how things work, and if there's the positive of it, but I want to look for the negatives, because there always is going to be opposites of stuff. And some people could say, oh, you shouldn't do that, but I think it's served me. So my thinking, analytical mind, which cursed me a lot when I was younger, has served me for what I'm doing now, because it's made me look at every aspect of something. Like, does it work? Where doesn't it? How doesn't it work? What's the negative knock-on effect? So I'm trying to work out, like, the best forms of healing, how it works, where it could go wrong. But so it's helped me decipher and find a broad range of different healing techniques and different methods and different stuff. So if one thing don't work, another approach works.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
And the centre that we've got, which is a holistic healing centre, I want it to come from that angle. Like, I want to have the different people there doing different things. Some people come in, for example, we get people what I call yogis, yoginis. A lot of the yoga women, they'll come in, or we'll have shamanic people. We'll have the goddess women who come in and they like to do things that are very feminine or orchestrated. Or you'll have people who do Reiki, or people, life coaches, or people into food health, people into corporate life coaching. So you'll have so many different types, and sometimes you have to learn to almost mimic them all to be able to talk on their level. Otherwise, it's no good when you've got someone who's coming from a corporate background and I start talking about the airy, fairy, angelic side of things. Because healers, you've got so many different types of healing. You've got your clinical NLP type of healer. You've got your new age angel energy healer. You've got the shamanic healer who relies on Mother Earth and Mother Nature. They're all, if you look into it all, it's all exactly the same thing. It's just being issued or being formulated or orchestrated in a particular way to suit a particular mindset. You've got very earthy people. You've got very mind-orientated people. As we were talking with Mick yesterday, some people you have to approach from a mental, logical point of view. Some people you have to approach from a purely energetic point of view, or some people from a very heart space. So there's so many different ways of attacking inner demons. Some people are very restricted. So you've got a nice, a light approach of soothing music and just safety. Other people, they want details. They want to know how to understand something logically, whereas some people like just feeling through intuition.
But it's people, sorry it's there.
Yeah.
Because some people need tough love, as we know. But some people, tough love actually works really well.
Yeah.
But we're all different. And as you say, but it's really interesting that with this new awakening, people are coming together regardless of their healing modalities.
Yeah.
Exactly what you're saying, but people seem to be connecting this huge light that has come onto the planet. New consciousness is people with different modalities, different healing types. They're all coming together. It's kind of like dark against light. Do you understand what I mean? They're not, because it's like we have this one focus that we want to take away something that isn't good for us. So we've all come together, and a lot of our issues, like even between us, issues have gone. Because people are connecting. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
In such a big way. We know we have to do that in order to save our planet and humanity. We've let go of a lot of the issues.
I suppose we've let go of a lot of issues inside ourselves. You know, like stuff that, I don't know. Let's use us as a friendship, for example. Certain things which I may trigger you, or you may trigger me. We're having to let go of them because they were things to do with self-worth, or am I good enough, or someone, you know, whatever, needing attention and all that, and we sort of help each other get over it until it's gone. They're slowly fading away, thankfully. Not, you know, there's obviously still stuff there. We've got a long way to go of deep conditioning and traumas, as in whatever our disharmonics in us still bring up. But,
sorry, so we're talking about your work at the Positivity Center, but I just want to go back again a little bit, because as I say, this is what fascinates me, is when was your first spiritual experience? Can you actually recall that? Can you go back and recall when you would say the shift happened? Because we all have a shift.
It's funny you say that. I remember as a kid, I'd watched. Right, I need to readdress it. When I started getting into, I remember I had a stage where I got into Hinduism, and that was after I stopped the drugs and things. Or was it? I can't remember now. Anyway, there was a point where I got into Hinduism, and that got me into Krishna, and I was coming at spirituality from a religious point of view. And I remember I had these amazing meditations on Krishna. They were like that. I remember having feelings of expansion and feeling like I was everything and nothing at the same time. Literally felt like I was universes. I could feel I was the size of universes.
Sorry, can I just ask? Sorry, Paul. Was this before you gave up?
No, this was
when you were younger.
No, because I was doing I was mixing both at the same time, so it wasn't. Okay. I thought it was, but it wasn't. And that was when I was about. Well, Shannon, my daughter's 17 and I'm 38, so she was about 3 years old. What, about 23 maybe? 22, 23, 24, around that age. And I had that, I remember I was in my bedroom and I remember having one real strong Kundalini awakening, and it was just before I had a driving lesson. And yeah, that one good. I didn't bring myself back down again. Went out into a driving lesson, span out into the universe. And, yeah, it was cool. But it was more the one where I had this expanse feeling. But that wasn't the first time I had it. It was when I had it afterwards. I sat there and I thought, I knew I've had this feeling before, and I remembered that I used to feel that. But I didn't realise it was a spiritual experience. I remember when I was must have been about 7 or 8, or not, between 7 and 10, maybe 6 and 10. I would watch Star Wars And then I would go upstairs, and I remember I would like close my eyes, and it was the end of Star Wars. You know, at the end of, or the beginning and the end of Star Wars, where you've got space, when you've got the lines going through it, like warp speed sort of lines. And at the end, it used to move up like that with the credits, like it was in space. And I remember I wanted to sort of mimic that. And I remember I'd close my eyes and I would see something like that with my eyes. And then I would push lightly on my eyes and I'd start seeing all these, it was like blackness, but then there would be these white little flicks.
Yeah, I did that.
Shapes and lines.
Yeah.
And then
you don't understand when you close your eyes. How can you actually see it?
yeah, it was strange. And I remember I would then go under the cover and I'd put myself in complete blackness and I was meditating. I was just concentrating on the blackness that I could in my eyes, or that I couldn't see enough. I would concentrate on just that. And I remember having that feeling back when I was about 6 or 7. I was having these expanded states of consciousness at the age of 7 years old without realizing what. And I remember having this sort of like whoop feeling that you get when you're asleep. Sometimes you get that feeling where you feel like you've dropped.
Yeah.
And it would make me. I remember thinking, "Whoa, I feel a bit weird," or I felt dizzy or disorientated, but not knowing what I was doing.
So that was probably
the
first. It's really strange you should say that, because as a child I used to do that a lot, and I kept seeing beautiful colors and shapes and patterns, and I kept thinking, well, how can I see them? My eyes are closed. And so but I never, related to it the same way as you did. I just colors and things.
I just remember thinking there was some connection between wanting this about Star Wars and space. I remember having experiences where I would sit there and think, what's, like we've got God's created everything, and then I would think, well, who created God? And I'd really and I'd really feel into it. And I remember it was like, whoa, I'd freak out, I'd have a bit of a panic attack because it was so strange. And I remember thinking, well, like what created life? Well, what was before life? And then I'd have that sort of really lucid feeling where it's almost like I questioned myself out of this matrix of what I don't use matrix in the terms of like this system. I mean matrix in the terms of the life illusion. It's almost like I jumped outside of that safety net of general life of going along. And I remember I think, whoa, what is life? What's outside the planet? Space. Well, what's space inside of? And it would be like, when you really feel that thought, what's inside, it really opens your mind up. I think that is maybe sort of where a lot of things started. Now I look back, because once you have them sort of realizations or them sort of moments, you can't go back. You open up something. I'm not sure what. You open some sort of thought process up, or subconscious thought process up, or whatever we are. You expand some sort of state of awareness in you just from that one thought, and then it's always there. And then I suppose it makes you question everything then.
So obviously you couldn't talk to your friends about this.
It was more, I'd have it in like moments where I'd be sat. I always remember I'd be sat in a certain seat. I remember being sat in my, like when you have your designated seat with your mum and dad in your house, that they have, it'd be my mum's seat when she wasn't there, or I remember being sat there, and just remember being sat in my mum's chair and having that experience, thinking, who created God, or what's outside of space, where does that stop? Freak out. And I don't know why it freaked me out. That's one thing I'm curious, why it freaked me out. Why does that freak us out? When we get to something where we go, why do we freak out?
Why do you think so?
Don't know. It's almost like because you lose an identity thing. And I think,
even as a child, why would it freak you out as a child when you start to get these experiences? Because you can't analyze it the same way as you could as an adult. But then you just have to go on Facebook now and you can join a group. What could you do when you were that age?
Yeah, exactly.
difficult, was it? It was different then, wasn't it?
Just left with it in my own head. It's not something.
Yeah.
It wasn't at that age. I didn't like sort of go out and really talk about it. But then I remember like stuff like supernatural stuff, like ghost stories and things being really like mysterious. And then now, you know, I got to a stage where I started going into mediumship stuff, and it's almost like I look back now and think, why did I ever find that scary? Or most people believe in stuff like that, but they don't. They believe in it from a very. It's almost like an internal knowing, but then they won't look into it anymore. They won't. How would you explain it? Everyone believes in ghosts, or most people believe in ghosts, but they're more from a mysterious humour, or I can't explain it. They believe into it until it really gets into it, and then they'll go, "Oh no, it's rubbish." But everyone has an inkling. It's a bit like when people get close to death's doorstep, and then they'll believe in God. Then, as if there's a slight bit of belief in people, even if they don't believe in stuff. There's some dormant bit in them that does know that there's more.
Okay, so what do you believe happens when you die?
What do I believe happens when you die?
Yeah.
You've got to. You're not just this body, are you? You can't be.
Do you believe this inside? Is there anything that you
I
can
can't prove it.
that you believe, not that you just think or other people have told you? Because
No, it's more of a case of when you have experiences of like, for example, when I got into mediumship stuff, I used to be into a mediumship circle or self-development circle to do with psychic awareness or telepathic stuff, and exercising that's what you do when you're in the circle. You focus on exercising it, getting yourself more receptive, more sensitive to feeling stuff through self-awareness, through meditation, through journeying, through asking each other questions, it's almost like self-awareness exercises stroke what do they do in scientific labs? Evidence tests. So you'll be testing each other through stuff, asking questions. For example, I remember doing an open platform once where you go up and you sort of try mediumship. And I remember saying to a woman, "Oh, you was in London at a birthday and you fell. It was near Trafalgar Square." I said, "And you had an accident. You sort of twisted your ankle because you was wearing these big high heels." And she said, "Yeah." And another time with Cecile's, my partner's friends in France, I'll give him a reading, and I remember telling him stuff about a fight he had with his best friend when he was younger, something to do with his nan, a particular mirror he had in his house, or loads of different stuff. And it was all true. And it was more of a test at the time, just to see how it works. And it wasn't, I've never been so bothered like, look what I can do. It was more to get them to realise that it's possible. And yeah, so you sort of got to ask yourself, well, how do I know that? If I'm part of this physical body, how do I know, or how can I dip into something that happened to this bloke when he was younger? Or, for example, my mum, she had an experience, I can't remember what time it was when the Olympics were on a few years ago.
Tell us about that.
She watched something that wasn't on until live 2 days later. 3 hours of TV. She sat up all at night watching it. Told my dad the next day that the blonde woman won on the Olympics. And my dad went on to tell her it couldn't have. It ain't on until live tomorrow. And she says, "Well, I bloody watched it." And anyway, the next day or 2 days later, they watched it live. And my mum ended up commentating moment by moment the next 3 hours before it happened. So how can I pick up on something?
Isn't it? Sorry,
So,
that's like time travel.
yeah, but it's outside of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's outside of you. Like you're picking up on stuff outside of you that's not you, that's not in your physical body. You know, you're witnessing and picking up or for example, you would talk to someone about someone who's passed away, and you talk about certain ailments or certain feelings or things that the person had wrong with them. Okay, and you know it because you get given the feeling to feel yourself very slightly, or you'll get a slightly heady feeling. You'll think, oh, the person had they suffered with headaches, for example, or extreme headaches. You could be willy-nilly and say, well, everyone does, but it would be stuff that was very prominent, like someone who would suffer with a particular thing often. So you'd put that across to them, and then they'd end up saying, yeah. Well, how do you know that?
Basically, your clairsentience, because you feel. But the thing is, you're an empath and your clairsentience. How does it make you feel when you know all this incredible stuff and people can't take it on board? Does it really? It must really frustrate you.
I suppose that's been part of the thing, really. Part of the I don't like using the word problem, but I suppose in the past that's been part of the problem, and even to a degree now, it can be like that. For example, I remember having one morning where I felt absolutely rubbish. I felt terrible, and I remember saying to my partner, I want to get up. I mean, luckily she knows what I'm about and what I do, so she sort of rides along with it. I remember saying to her one morning, "Oh, get away from me!" And I just said to her, she was sat opposite me, and I said, "I just want to push you and push you and push you away." I mean, that's a negative experience in a way, perceived negative. And I remember saying to her, "I want to push you, and I want to just keep pushing you away, like pushing." And then like half hour later, my brother phones up and says that his girlfriend's just give birth. So what happens when you're giving birth? The mum really just wants to push that baby out. Or I had it where I felt terrible, really terrible, and then I was told that my mum and dad said their dog had died. It's just, I mean, people could say, oh, well, they could say that for anything, but I've had it where I remember a particular day saying, oh, I felt really trapped, really trapped inside myself. It was a suffocating feeling, and someone went on, I don't have a TV, so I don't watch the news, and I don't want to. A friend of mine told me, oh, well, a load of Chinese people were in a lorry. They stuck in a lorry, suffocated. So it's almost like the more you connect yourself or become aware of your connection with everything, the more you feel everything. But then consciousness is a broad thing. Like I said, if I picked up from stuff in the past, my mum's picked up from stuff in the future, then that goes to show that future at some level already exists because she's experienced it before it happened. And that goes to say, well, if stuff in the future has already happened, and my mum's picked up on it through a visual element and watched it visually, who's to say you can't pick up and experience the sensation and feelings of things before they happen? So sometimes you experience stuff that have got nothing to do with your direct life, yet you're experiencing it, but then you'll sit there and you may associate that feeling with something that's going on in your life.
Because we're all connected.
Yeah.
Basically connected. And I mean, I've had experiences like that. I knew my mum had died. It was very strange. I just did an audition for Britain's Got Talent, I think, and for some I sang You'll Never Walk Alone, which was my mum's favourite song. And then I walked out of there, and I just knew my mum died. I knew.
Yeah.
And my husband called me and said, "Mum just died." It's like, I know what you mean. You pick stuff up, you feel a bit, because you're an empath and because we're all so connected. So it's very interesting what you said about people do get that. You know, we can't control the emotions that we get. So if you feel when you're around Cecile, or if anybody is around someone, I don't want to be here, I don't want them here, I want to push them away, something's coming up, they're mirroring, they're showing you something as well about yourself that you can't deal with. Maybe they're trying to wake something up inside you.
Yeah.
So
sometimes
how do you use that for people? As I say, a lot of people who are waking up are going to start feeling triggered all over the place. I mean, look at it. Look at what the news is throwing at them. There's confusion. Everything's coming up at the same time. So what would be your advice to people, newly awakened people that are getting triggered all over the place? Because you and I know how that feels. I know how I deal with it. How do you deal with it?
Going back to what I started talking about earlier, I suppose, using modalities, but me, I'm all about like using your own. Like your body knows how you need to deal with something. Your body's got its own sort of conscious intelligence. It knows how to get you out of something, but you've got to ask it. It's almost like it's a lesson for you, and it's a lesson for you to go through to experience how you're going to deal with something, and it won't help you until you've decided you want that help, because it's a lesson. And it is a lesson about how you're going to react to something. It must be, because I can't see evolution quite being the case, because if the future's already happened, there's nothing to evolve to. So it's almost like you're not going to really change anything, but you can change. With the future's already happened, how can you change it? But you can change your perception of things. It's such a vast thing. Once you start getting into consciousness, it's deep land. But just from that one aspect, I mean, this isn't the absolute truth what I'm saying, because there's a whole other different areas or ways of looking at it. But for example, if something's already happened and you can't, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. You can't change how it's going to happen, but you can change how you perceive it, and by changing it and how you feel and experience it. So for example, I'm having a certain thing happen. I call it like an echo in time, basically, that's always going to happen, but each time you sort of deal with it in a different way. So for example, something comes up which triggers a certain feeling in me, and which my neurology knows that particular feeling and links that with other past stuff, then I'll start going into a whole extreme of all different experiences, and it will all get out of hand. Oh, feelings of self, everything, any memory or anything related to that particular negative feeling will start shooting off in my head. And then it becomes a whole load of different stuff. And then I start attaching that to do with all stories in my head. But that's when you start going into your head, into thought patterns. So the best way is to get out of that is to go into a moment. And the best way to go into the moment for me is it's almost like an internal NLP in the basis of like neuro-linguistic programming, which is you stop that neural pathway before it like goes. And the best way to do that,
is that where music comes in?
For me, yeah, because music, when I do music, I'm so in the music, I'm not thinking anymore. It's just purely about feeling. And then I can also, if I've got a negative feeling, I channel that into the music. And then by channeling it into the music, I sort of not only stop that particular feeling, I use it to feed. It's almost like energy's energy, and I'll use that emotion to feed whatever music I'm creating. And I always have it in my head that whatever I'm creating is positive. So even if I'm having a negative feeling, it's going to be used to create a positive outcome.
Yeah. So is that the answer, Paul, to find your talents and your creativity, to be able to deal with these blocks and
a lot of the blocks
or these emotional things?
Yeah,
up?
I'm butting in, didn't I? It almost comes like full circle. It's like the very things that give you your issues are the very thing that you use to get out the issues, which is all about self-expression. It's basically we're learning to completely express and embody our absolute pure being, which is when in present moment being is being yourself and expressing yourself exactly how you need to in the most productive, positive way possible. And if you don't do that, you feel stagnant. And then because you feel stagnant, you feel resentful. Then you get annoyed at people. Then you project it because maybe people who do that. And you'll feel jealous. Then you'll feel upset because and then it goes down. It just goes in a vicious circle. So be yourself as much as possible. And which then goes on to what it is I do with being yourself. The whole idea of what I do is sort of getting people to go into their intuition, to learn about themselves, to feel what they feel inside, to let up all of the rubbish that isn't them, which has created blocks in them. And once they let that out, then it almost sort of, as they let the stuff out that's blocking them, it's almost like their real self is tethered behind it, and that comes through afterwards. So they've unblocked all of that stuff, all that stagnancy, all that conditioning, all of that repression. Then the real them can come through. But then you've got to work on. Then they may have like embarrassments, they may have fears. So it's about getting them back into their body, out of their head, which is saying and thinking fear, thinking embarrassment, thinking about, oh, what about this, what about that? Stay in your body, stay in your breath, get out of your mind and just express and feel and be and do. And then the more they nourish that, the more they tend to that, the more they strengthen and empower that until it becomes a natural thing to be themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, what I love about your work is it's very similar to the way I work, as you say, because people are different and everyone needs something different. So you have the music, which is part of an aspect that you work with, and then you work with light and sound and vibrations. But I love when you combine everything together and you do your medicine man thing that I call, your shaman thing, where you literally heal using the light, the sound, the vibrations, the singing. You go up and down the chakras, and it's just an incredible experience. But so how do you feel about using that with people, different types of people? How can you use all those incredible skills and talents? Because as we say, different people are different and unique. And so how can you, the word I'm looking for is, how can you create something that is going to be effective for everyone, but maybe in a different way? Do you know what I mean? Like,
when I'm
tailor it. How can you tailor it?
Well, this is
That's what I'm trying to ask.
This is exactly what my whole emphasis of tailoring and intuition. With people, I don't want to teach. I want to hold space for allowing people to find their own technique. So it's about, and I call it biodynamics. I've sort of labelled it and called it. It's like the word
biodynamics. Did you say?
Biodynamics. It's a bit of a word
What
play.
does that mean?
It's a bit of a word play of bio, which you've got. Bio means life. You know when you've got about biology, biochemical, biophysical, like everything comes under that term bio. And bio means life, basically. And to me, life stands for, the LIFE. For me, is logical, intuitive information for everyone. Logical and intuitive, because they've both got the yin yang thing. They've both got their for everyone, and everyone's got it within them. So my whole emphasis is to get people into exploring and becoming aware of their own self modalities, which is the whole process of it. Everyone's got it in them. Everyone's connected to the same source. Everyone's got that intelligence, that consciousness in them. So everyone's got their own way of doing things. And that was for years. I wasn't happy with anything, because I thought, I don't like that. I don't want to do that because I don't just like doing that. I'll read a book and think, loads of people I know, they'll read a book and then they can't match everything in that book, and they'll get frustrated and think there's something wrong with them. And then they'll get onto another book and do the same thing and think, well, maybe you're supposed to just take a little bit from that book, a little bit from that, a little bit from that person, because that's what you need. Because you're not just that. You're not their story. When someone shares, if I was to share a book called Biodynamics by Paul McDonald, that's not going to resonate with everyone. Because that's as a whole thing, that's my thing. But I'm going to share that to inspire other people but then they may take 2 pages out of it, which they need. They may take 2 pages out of a Tony Robbins book, 2 pages out of an inspiration from your material. And that, what's the book you're in?
To stay sane. Oh, sorry, Simply Amazing.
Simply Amazing. That's the one. Let's plug it. Okay.
They sell it at the shop. Don't worry, I already told people.
I'll tell them again. So people like.
Chapter 8.
But that way you're formulating. That's what we all do. We take little bits of information, take stuff, and we accumulate our own belief system. And it is our belief system. You could say it could be others, but you're taking a reflection of what you believe. But you don't have to be everything. You don't have to resonate completely everything with like Muji or with Dr. Wayne Dyer or this and that. You get inspired to what you get inspired with, and anything outside of that isn't meant for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need to find you're okay with what you want, and don't think you've got to be this person or be that structure. It's basically about helping people find their own sort of self-tailoring.
So you basically see people holistically. You're looking at their mind, their body, their spirit, their stress levels, their past. When they can see you, because your intuition is so strong, you probably already see them and you think, oh, I know what that person needs. I know, because you've got such a strong intuition already.
This is the thing with like the stuff I want to do on group, which is the biodynamic stuff, which are group classes, but that's different. That's a group thing. We can do one-to-one. But when it comes to like a hands-on therapy or session, it's always completely different. And I always like the idea. I don't like going with a set modality, because that isn't always good. I want to be completely present with what consciousness needs at that time and moment. And you can't get any more focused and stronger than the conscious flow and needs the person needs at that particular time. And if you stay open, I've practiced and got certifications in Reiki and other things, but they may need more than that. So I just allow myself over the years to grow open to as many different healing modalities, which my body naturally is capable of doing. And so I allow myself just to be an open reflection of what they need, an open channel of completely what they need. I won't distinguish, or I won't, what's the word I'm using? I won't put anything aside. For example, someone may come in and they're different to the person who came in half an hour ago, and the format would be slightly different. There may be someone who comes in for some healing, and I always ask people, what number do you want? What light? And I ask them to go with their intuition, because their intuition knows what they need.
This is the bed.
Yeah, this is all of it. You've got 3 different sectors. You've got the light, the lucid light. You've got the vibroacoustic therapy bed, and you've got the music that I do and the healing that I do. They're all separate things, but people can have them all together.
It's a waterbed. It's a waterbed. It's conducive. You've
got the vibroacoustic therapy is basically, like you said, it's a waterbed, but it's a heated waterbed. So you really penetrate you. I mean, like you said,
it's lovely and warm.
It's lovely, and you've got that floaty feeling. It's almost like a dry flotation tank. It's a dry flotation tank. But it's even more different because you've got the wobble in it. When you're in a tank, you're in the water, but this thing you're on top of the water, so you've got that.
Yeah. Because when you go into flotation tank, you could be, if you're claustrophobic. I can't go in one of those because if you're claustrophobic, it's a bit scary. But when you lie on that bed, you're just in a room and it's wide open, so there's nothing to be worried about. So.
Exactly, and you don't get. Yeah, you don't have to be in the dark, and it's a slightly different feeling as well. And the fact you can't. Well, I suppose you can have vibration in the tank, but it's vibration that's the most important thing. You're getting it's basic, so it's a vibroacoustic table. So you've got a vibroacoustic table,
where you've got the sound coming through vibration. And the bed is made out of a very acoustic wood that really carries the vibration. And on top of the bed, you've got a liquid water bed, or liquid water bed. It is liquid. You've got the heated water bed, which they call the liquid. And that, so you think you're on that bed, it's warm, it's already penetrating the body anyway. It sort of wraps itself around you, looking into it a bit. And then the vibration comes through and it carries that vibration out. That your skin is your biggest organ. It's one big organism all over your body, and it is an organ. So you think every part of the skin is taken and being penetrated by that particular vibration. And that could be any vibration. That could be for anxiety, that could be for invigoration, because it's the vibration that in particular what you need is the main thing. So not only do you feel relaxed through the general vibratory experience, you also get that particular vibration which you've chose. And there's different vibrations. There's some or different frequencies. Some of them are for confidence, some are for focus, some for empowerment. So your body's being penetrated and with that particular frequency of vibration, which is a particular brainwave state.
So, you know, you're in very good company, because President Trump is talking a lot, particularly about light and how healing light can be. So can you explain to us, how does the light and sound work? I mean, why does it work? What's the principle behind it?
It basically works on changing or creating a particular brainwave pattern, a particular brainwave. Like you've got a brainwave state, like you've got Schumann frequency, which is what the Earth resonates at, what they call the Schumann frequency. I don't remember quite what it is, 500 and something, 70.
Yeah, Jordan Safer talks a lot about.
And maybe I'm wrong about the particular resonance, but it's easy enough to look it up if you Google it, the Schumann frequency. And the Earth vibrates at that particular frequency, and our hearts should match that particular frequency. But there's so many electrical appliances and things and electromagnetic things going on with phones and with a lot of stuff that we do need to a degree. But as is everything, you've got the negative and positive. And what it's done is it's took us out of our natural vibrational state. Even women who wear high heel shoes, you're not connecting so much with the vibration of the earth. If you're walking barefoot, you feel more connection with the earth because you've got the electromagnetism. You're closer. Your skin has got that. You know, you've got the electronics in your skin. You connect with the earth. And when you look like a deer, an animal, when they're out in the field, they're so content. We always look at deers and animals, and you think, how can they be happy just there in the field? Well, because they're not in their head. They're just
cats. You just have to look at them. Yeah. Sleep all the time.
Because they're connected. They're out barefoot. More so wild animals, because they're connected barefoot with nature, with the earth. Okay. And then you've got the core of the earth, which is a magnetic part of nature that basically draws them down into the hertz, the heartbeat.
So it grounds. So basically, you're saying that the light and the sound keeps you more grounded, more connected to the earth.
It can do whatever you
feel better in the body.
Well, it can do whatever you need, really, because it creates particular frequencies. So you can have ones for either focusing, because they've obviously, the person who's created these particular things, they've worked out through testing and through experience, I suppose. They've worked out what particular, for example, when someone's focused, that may be a particular frequency. Or when someone's more receptive, that's a hypnagogic state. And the hypnagogic state, I think, don't hold me on this, is it may be the theta state. You've got alpha, theta.
All right. So you go into trance in some way, and then the body can relax a lot more. So what conditions can you heal? I'm not saying healing. What conditions can you support with the light and sounds bed?
Anxiety.
Would you say?
You can help anxiety because you can relax people. The breathing gets more relaxed. The mind slows down. They're in a more relaxed, meditative state where they can just go into their body and get out of their mind, which is a massive thing for some people. Some people who may have insomnia. Insomnia is generally just where the body's holding on to so much stress. They can't sleep because their subconscious is screwing around with them. So again, that's linked with anxiety. It's, I suppose you have anxiety, and then after so much anxiety and stress and depression, you then get insomnia because it affects your subconscious in your sleep. So you can help with that as well because you allow the mind to stop, which takes them into a hypnagogic, relaxed state. I mean, many people, including yourself, fall asleep on the bed because they're that relaxed. Sometimes it's awkward because you have to, obviously, if you've got various people coming after or you've got a time limit, you've got to wake them up. But generally, I'll try and give them like 5 minutes after, as if they do fall asleep. I think I'll let their body really take the nourishment. But then they find that they get better sleep that evening because their body's still in that relaxed state. I think you yourself said the same thing. You've got someone who wanted more focus. This person was a man I know who helps people with logistics, helps people, coaches them on business, and he had a go on it, and he went on a particular setting which was for focus, and he was feeling a bit tired, a bit foggy-headed before he went on it, and it was someone who was actually helping us on a business program, and he went and had a go, and then he come out, and then afterwards he said he felt a lot more sharper, a lot more focused. There's a particular brainwave state for that, which is a very, I don't know if it's stimulated, but it was just a focused one. Then you've got other ones which are good for affirmations, and it was a lady we know. She works for a brand which they sell stuff. They want to sell the brand, so they need to really talk the brand to people, but they need to have a lot of confidence for it. I think she worked, I can't remember what company it was for. It was either something like Arborn or Tropic or the one with that cactus. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And she wanted to become a manager, and she said, I want to just have more confidence. And she said, I said, is there anything you would like me to say to you? Because it's one for affirmations, which for affirmations is basically you're more receptive. Your brain state is more receptive for you for believing something and for creating a certain thought pattern in your head. Hence why it says it's good for affirmations on this particular program. So I asked her, is there anything you want me during, as you're on the bed, your subconscious is going to be more receptive so I can plant seeds. So is there any particular sentence or word you want me to keep suggesting to you? And she said, I want you to keep calling me a diamond manager. I think I went a little bit further than that. I sort of really hyped it up and
you're in trance, basically. Sorry, Paul, you're going into trance. Of course, the subconscious is going to be to taking on new ideas.
It's the subconscious, which is the overruling thing a lot of the time. Sort of seeding and rewiring and changing and planting positive stuff in her subconscious, which it did. And I kept saying, you're a diamond manager, see yourself doing this, see yourself feeling this way. I really went into it with her while she was on the light. And I also had the music for this particular one. There's the music I do as well. And the music was a very uplifting, epic type music. You know, the sort of music you get on one of these life coaching videos where it's like just uplifting.
And you compose all of this yourself?
Yeah, I create the music as well, which was sequences.
And you sing?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
The different things, again, a bit like the light, I'll do it for different things. I've got stuff that's for bringing up emotion, stuff that's good for invigoration, stuff that's good for putting you in a real spaced out. Some people just want a spacey experience, something out of this world. So stuff for that. There's some more